bait and lures here. I'm going to teach you about the basics of surf fishing, mainly for surf perch. As you can see here, I'm going to talk about the reel and rod. The basic rod that you need is probably a 7 or 6 footer. Because you need it for you need to cast far, doing with heavy weight, and probably doing with heavy fish. If you have a bass fishing rod, that'll work. Now let's get into the reel. This is a normal bass fishing reel. You can see right here. You don't need anything fancy but just a normal bass reel. Okay, one tip. Zoom out. If you have only one pole and reel, I think you're supposed to use it for like freshwater, saltwater. You can't do both, because if you do freshwater and saltwater, going saltwater then freshwater, there will be salt in your line. If you don't rinse your reel very good, it'll corrode the inside of the reel and it wouldn't work anymore. So that's the common mistakes that beginner or even intermediate saltwater anglers do. Now let's talk about the test line. What I really recommend is a 10-pound test mono. I don't use braided because I don't have any right now. So one time my friend took me for fishing for surf perch. He uses braided. I don't know what pound, probably a 68-pound braided line. Let's talk about the terminal tackle that you need. See right here, I got the sinkers, swivel the beads, and the hooks. Okay, the rig that you're gonna mostly use is called the Carolina rig. If you're a bass fisherman, you probably know what it means. So I'll demonstrate right now. I prefer 2 egg weights because probably the currents might be really forceful, and yeah, that's why I use 2. These are called egg weights because you slide your line through there. So after you thread these on the line, you get a bead like this, and you thread it on the line. This will prevent the weight from sliding over to the swivel and onto your leader, and it'll scare the fish. Now here's the huge mistake that anglers are using. So you have a small and a big swivel. What do you use? A big swivel, of course, because the waves you could be fishing in excuse me, can be very forceful, and it could pull out the eye, like that. So that's why I recommend a kind of much bigger swivel. So you tie a knot on the swivel. Whoops, the beach's running away from me. Come back. Good boy. Then you take a leader or take 10-pound test line, make into a 6 or 1 foot or 12 inches leader, and tie your hook. What hook I really recommend, it depends what bait you're using. So right now, what I'm using all the time is a size 6 gamakatsu hook bait holder. They look like this. The eyes tilted in the front, and it just looks like a normal hook. So you tie the leader line onto that, and you put your favorite bait. So that's what you need for a terminal tackle. 2 large egg sinkers, 1 bead, 1 swivel, and size 6 gamakatsu bait holder hook. The next section I'll talk about baits and lures. Bait and lures again. Now I'm going to talk about bait and lures for surf perch. To really recommend bait, I mostly use and caught a lot of perch is these gulp sandworms. Because that's their mostly natural food that they mostly eat. But you could dig up your own sand crabs or sand fleas by when the wave is coming in, you stick your hand, and when the wave's coming out, you scoop it and you feel a little air. Then you got a sand flea, and you just use the hook and just cast it out. There you go, light bait. Other what you could use is our grubs, curly tail grubs. These are curly tail grubs. They're mainly used in freshwater and saltwater together. But they don't have no scent because perch rely on scent and vibration because the water you're fishing in is probably dirty. Because I'm fishing in Santa Cruz, the water is dirty and muddy. So yeah, you need bright colors and good vibration action. And you use a size 6 hook to rig this and all of these. But if you don't have these or anything, or you just have some bass tackle like grubs, you could use a jig head hook. Whoops, sorry. This is what you call a jig head hook. They're mainly for jigs. And yeah, and they might be colored. So the reason why I chose pink because it imitates a shrimp. If you're fishing in clear waters, this will actually imitate a shrimp along with a pink grub. So see, you got a shrimp imitation right there. So instead of tying a bait holder hook, or if you don't have one in stock, you can find any jig head, take a grub and just rig it, Carolina rig it, then you're off. Just cast it out and probably you'll catch something. Now let's go with the lure. The most preferred lure I would use for shark perch is spoon because a lot of people have been using these and this will imitate a little bait fish. Well, it just depends what's in your area. So if there's little anchovies or little bait fish, whatever it eats, it'll probably take that lure. But if there's like worms, crabs in the area, you'll probably want to stick to grubs and the sandworm. But if they have all together, I don't know, just use whatever they're feeding on. But if they're in a negative mood, use a spoon because it has lots of action and flash. So that's about it, guys. Hammer Bait and Lure signing out.